Welcome back, Deep Divers. We're continuing our exploration of the Kali Oracle, that pocket-sized portal to powerful energy and symbolism.
Right. And as we talked about earlier, the lack of a guidebook with this edition,
Yeah.
it really makes it a uniquely personal journey.
It's true. Working with an oracle deck that relies so heavily on intuition,
Yeah.
it can be both liberating and a bit daunting.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, I don't know, setting sail without a map, just relying on the stars and your inner compass to guide you.
That's a great analogy.
So let's talk about that feeling of liberation first.
Okay.
What's so freeing about not having a guidebook, telling you what to think?
Well, for one thing, it forces you to step outside the confines of predefined interpretations.
I see.
And engage with the cards on a much deeper, more personal level.
So it's less about like looking up the answer and more about having a conversation with the cards. A dialogue with your intuition even.
Yeah, you're drawing on your own inner wisdom, your experiences, your unique connection to Kali's energy to decipher those messages hidden within the symbolism.
I imagine that can be incredibly empowering.
It is.
Instead of relying on someone else's interpretations, you become the interpreter, the channel for Kali's wisdom.
It's almost like learning a new language.
Oh, interesting.
One that speaks directly to your soul, You start to recognize patterns, nuances, and symbolism that resonate with you on a deep level.
But let's be honest, that freedom can also feel a little intimidating.
Oh, for sure.
Like, what if your interpretation is wrong?
Right.
What if you're missing something crucial?
Yeah.
Especially with a goddess like Kali, who has, such a powerful presence.
Those are valid concerns.
Yeah.
The key is to remember that there's no right or wrong when it comes to intuition.
Yeah.
It's about trusting your inner voice, your gut feeling, your connection to the divine feminine.
So it's more about the feeling, the resonance, the personal message that comes through.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to match it to a specific meaning in a guidebook.
Precisely. It's like recognizing a familiar face in a crowd,
Huh?
You don't need a written description to know who it is. You just know.
You just know.
And if you find yourself doubting your intuition,
Yeah.
you can always turn to other resources for support.
What kind of resources?
Well, research the symbolism associated with Kali,
Okay.
explore different interpretations of her myths, connect with other practitioners who work with her energy.
So it's like having this whole network of guides,
Yeah.
both seen and unseen, helping you navigate the mysteries of the deck.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of any spiritual journey, really. It's not a solitary pursuit,
Right.
It's a collaborative dance between our inner wisdom, the divine, and the support of our community.
You mentioned earlier that working with this deck is like being handed a map with no landmarks.
Yeah.
So where do you even begin to navigate that kind of terrain?
That's where the real adventure begins. You have to rely on your own inner compass, your intuition, your knowledge.
So just trust yourself.
Yeah. Look at the cards. What resonates with you?
Yeah.
What emotions do the images evoke? What symbols jump out?
It's almost like being an art historian deciphering the visual language of the cards.
Exactly. You're looking for clues, for patterns, for the whispers of meaning hidden within the details.
For example, remember that card Joan called the scariest?
Which one?
The skeleton.
Oh, yeah, the skeleton.
So what kind of internal landscape does that image conjure up for you?
That's a good question.
Honestly, I think my first reaction would be a little bit of fear.
I can understand that.
Maybe even some denial.
Yeah.
Skeleton's death.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, not exactly light and breezy cocktail party topics, right?
Not really. But remember, in Kali's realm, death isn't an ending.
Right. It's a transformation.
It's a shedding of the old to make way for the new.
So the skeleton card is an invitation to confront our mortality.
Yes. Not to be morbid or anything. Right.
But to embrace change and allow for rebirth.
So it's not about ignoring the darker, more challenging aspects of life.
Right.
But about recognizing them as part of a larger cycle of growth and transformation.
Exactly. Kali's energy reminds us that darkness is not something to be feared,
Okay.
but a necessary part of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth.
Like the darkness of the womb we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's in the darkness that the seeds of our transformation are planted, Think of it like this. You can't have a beautiful garden without rich, fertile soil.
Okay.
And sometimes that soil is made up of things that have decomposed, broken down, gone through a process of death and decay.
Right. It's all part of the natural order.
It is.
So even though the skeleton card might feel intimidating,
Yeah.
it's ultimately about embracing the cyclical nature of life.
Yes.
And trusting that even in the face of endings, there's always the potential for new beginnings.
Beautifully put. And remember, you don't have to navigate this journey alone.
Yeah, that's good to remember. There are resources available, communities of like-minded individuals who are also exploring the depths of Kali's wisdom.
That's helpful.
It is.
Speaking of Kali's wisdom, Joan also mentioned that she's associated with alchemy.
Alchemy.
What does that mean in the context of this deck?
That's a great question.
Especially, without a guidebook to spell things out for us.
Right. Alchemy at its core is about transformation.
Oy.
It's the process of taking something base or ordinary and transmuting it into something precious and extraordinary.
Like turning lead into gold. Is that what we're talking about here?
It's a good analogy. But in the context of this deck, the alchemical process goes even deeper.
How so?
It's a metaphor for our own spiritual journey.
Okay.
We face challenges, confront our shadows, and through this process, we transform ourselves into something more authentic, more aligned with our true nature.
So using the Kali Oracle is like engaging in our own personal alchemy.
Exactly.
Taking the raw materials of our lives, our experiences, our challenges, even our fears, and turning them into something more valuable, more meaningful.
Yes. We're using the cards, the imagery, our intuition to delve into our inner world, to confront what needs to be transformed and to emerge as a more empowered and liberated version of ourselves.
It's not about avoiding the darkness or the challenges, but about embracing them as catalysts for growth.
Precisely. Kali's energy reminds us that darkness is not something to be feared, but a necessary part of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth.
Right, like we've been talking about.
It's in the darkness that the seeds of our transformation are planted.
So even though this deck might seem intimidating at first, it's actually an invitation to step into our power.
It is.
To embrace change and to trust in the alchemical process of transformation.
It's a call to connect to the divine feminine in her most fierce and transformative aspect, and to allow her energy to guide us on our journey of spiritual growth and liberation.
Joan's review gave us a glimpse into this world, but now I'm even more curious to see what else the Kali Oracle has to offer.
Me too.
In the video, she showed a few cards, including one with Kali's tongue sticking out.
Oh, right. The tongue.
What's the significance of that particular image?
Yeah, why is her tongue out like that?
It's a bit startling, to be honest.
Yes. Kali's extended tongue, it's one of her most recognizable features.
Yeah.
And often one of the most misunderstood.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's not a sign of aggression or mockery, as some might assume.
Okay.
But rather a symbol of her insatiable hunger for the ego, for all that is false and illusory. She's not out to punish us, but to devour the negativity, the limitations, the obstacles that stand in the way of our liberation.
So it's actually a positive symbol in a way.
It is.
Like she's clearing a path for us to move forward.
Exactly. Her outstretched tongue is a reminder that she's here to help us shed our old selves.
Okay.
To break free from limiting beliefs and patterns, and to embrace our true potential.
It's like she's saying, hey, I'm going to gobble up all the crap that's holding you back.
Exactly.
You're welcome.
It's about clearing out the clutter, so to speak.
Right.
To make room for something new to emerge.
I'm also really curious about the card with the necklace of skulls and the severed head.
Ah, yes, that one.
It's such a striking image.
It certainly is, and it speaks directly to Kali's role as the destroyer of ego.
Okay.
Each skull represents an aspect of the false self, the masks we wear, the identities we cling to.
So the necklace is like a collection of all the things we need to let go of to be truly free.
Precisely. It's a visual reminder that true liberation comes from shedding our attachments to the ego,
Right.
from embracing the impermanence of all things, and from surrendering to the flow of life and death.
And what about the severed head? Why is that such a prominent part of the imagery?
The severed head, it represents the ego itself, that false sense of self that we so often identify with. By severing the head, Kali is symbolically destroying the ego, helping us to transcend our limitations.
I see.
And to connect with our true divine nature.
It's like she's saying, let go of who you think you are.
Yes.
And embrace who you truly are.
Exactly. It's a powerful message of transformation, of letting go of the past, of embracing the present moment, and of stepping into the fullness of our being.
Even though these images can be intense, they're ultimately about empowerment and liberation.
Absolutely. They remind us that we have the power within ourselves to break free from limiting beliefs, to overcome challenges, and to create a life that is aligned with our highest purpose.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
It has.
It's amazing how much depth and meaning we've uncovered in this deck, even without a guidebook to lead the way.
And there's still so much more to explore. The Kali Oracle is like a treasure chest filled with symbolism and wisdom waiting to be unlocked.
Well, deep divers, our time together is coming to a close, but our exploration of the Kali Oracle is far from over.
In part 3, we'll dive into some of the potential challenges and rewards of working with an oracle deck that relies so heavily on intuition.
So stay tuned for the final chapter of our deep dive. Welcome back to our deep dive into the Kali Oracle.
We're in the final stretch now.
We've been exploring this fascinating deck.
Yeah.
Specifically the Pocket Edition,
Right.
which, as we've talked about, comes without a guidebook.
It's a journey.
This lack of a guidebook, it's a bit like venturing into uncharted territory, you know?
Oh, I know what you mean.
It's exhilarating, for sure.
Yeah.
But it can also feel a little daunting to rely solely on your intuition.
A little bit, yeah.
Like you're out there on your own.
You are. Working with an oracle deck like this,
Yeah.
it's kind of like learning to dance without any choreography.
Oh, interesting.
You have to feel the rhythm, trust your instincts, and let the music guide your movements.
Okay, I can see that.
There's a real sense of freedom,
Yeah.
but also a risk of, stepping on your partner's toes.
Oh, for sure. So let's talk about those potential missteps.
Okay.
What are some of the challenges someone might encounter when working with a deck that relies so heavily on intuition?
Well, one challenge, I think, is the potential for misinterpretation.
How so?
Without a guidebook to provide a framework, it's easy to project your own fears, biases, or desires onto the cards,
Oh, I see.
which can lead to some, inaccurate readings.
So you might see what you want to see
Right.
rather than what the cards are actually trying to tell you.
It's like looking into a mirror,
Yeah.
and only seeing the reflection you expect to see rather than the reality of what's actually there.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So to avoid this trap, it's really important to approach the cards with an open mind
Right.
and a willingness to be surprised.
Be open to the message, whatever it is.
Exactly.
And how do you cultivate that open mind?
That's a good question.
Especially when you're dealing with imagery as intense as Kali's.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to let your fears take over.
Oh, totally.
That's where techniques like grounding and centering come in.
Grounding and centering.
Yeah. Before you even touch the cards, take a few deep breaths. Connect with your body, create a sense of calm and clarity.
So get yourself in the right headspace.
Exactly. Imagine yourself rooted like a tree, drawing strength from the earth.
I like that.
This helps clear your mind of distractions,
Right.
And it creates space for clear intuition to emerge.
So you're creating a safe space,
Yeah.
both internally and externally, to actually engage with the cards.
Precisely. And remember, you're not alone in this journey.
That's important.
There's a whole community of practitioners who are also exploring the depths of Kali's wisdom.
So reach out, connect with others.
Yeah. Sharing experiences,
Yeah.
seeking guidance from more experienced readers.
Okay.
All that can help you refine your intuitive skills and build confidence in your interpretations.
It's like having a safety net, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Knowing that you have support, even when you're venturing into uncharted territory.
It's good to have a community.
It is. And don't forget about all the information available, online and in books.
Oh, right.
Even though this particular deck doesn't have a guidebook,
Yeah.
there are tons of resources out there that can provide insights into Kali's mythology.
Her symbolism.
Right, and traditional interpretations of her imagery.
All that good stuff.
So you can kind of supplement your intuition with research and knowledge,
You can.
and that creates, like a more well-rounded understanding of the cards.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance,
Yeah.
between trusting your gut instincts and also expanding your knowledge base.
So it's not just one or the other, it's both.
It is. Think of it like learning to cook.
Okay.
You might start with a recipe, but as you become more confident,
Yeah.
you start experimenting, adding your own flair, and eventually creating your own unique culinary masterpieces.
So trust your gut, but also do your research.
Exactly.
Okay, we've talked about the challenges,
Yeah.
but let's not forget about the rewards.
Oh, the rewards are huge.
What makes working with an intuitive deck like this so special?
When you connect with an oracle deck on an intuitive level, the readings become deeply personal and transformative.
It's a deeper connection.
It is. It's like having a direct line to your subconscious,
Whoa.
to the whispers of your soul.
So it's more than just getting answers to specific questions.
It is. It's about gaining deeper self-knowledge and insight.
This is amazing.
It's about uncovering hidden patterns, recognizing your strengths and weaknesses,
Right.
and understanding the underlying motivations behind your thoughts, feelings, and actions.
It sounds like working with this deck can be a powerful tool for personal growth and spiritual development.
It really can. Kali's energy is all about transformation,
Right.
about shedding the old and embracing the new.
That makes sense.
when you work with her oracle, you're inviting her to guide you through that process to help you break free from limitations.
And to step into your full potential.
Exactly.
Speaking of potential, what advice would you give to someone who's, feeling called to work with the Kali oracle, but maybe a little intimidated by the intensity of the imagery or the lack of a guidebook?
That's a good question. I'd say start by simply connecting with Kali's energy.
So learn about her.
Yeah. Learn about her mythology, meditate on her qualities, and see what resonates with you. If you feel a pull towards her, trust that intuition.
Trust your gut.
Exactly. And remember, Kali's fierceness, it's a protective force.
Yeah.
A mother bear defending her cub.
She's got your back.
She does. She's not there to harm you, but to help you shed what no longer serves you.
And if you're hesitant about the lack of a guidebook, start by simply pulling a card a day.
Okay.
See what images, symbols, or colors jump out at you.
Right.
Journal about your impressions, explore the artwork, and let your intuition guide you.
It's all about that personal connection.
It is.
There's no right or wrong way to do this, okay?
Okay.
It's about finding what works for you, experimenting, and trusting the process.
So be open, be curious, and trust yourself. Well, deep divers, our journey into the Kali oracle has come to an end.
It has.
But I think our exploration of her transformative power is just beginning.
It's a lifelong journey.
If this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to seek out Alana Fairchild's Kali oracle, with or without the guidebook.
It's worth exploring.
As you gaze upon those striking images, ask yourself, what darkness in your life might actually be fertile ground for growth and renewal? If you could ask Kali one question, what would it be?
That's a good one to ponder.
Until next time, may Kali's fierce grace guide you on your path.